Alrighty, so it's been a while since I've done a News of the Week episode, but alas, today we are going to do one, and we definitely had some big news that came out this past week. In fact, we had a big news that just came out today, and this news definitely is going to make every Atlanta United fan sing hallelujah because Atlanta United has officially announced that they have finally fired technical director Carlos Bocanegra after being with the club ever since they of course came into the league back in 2017. And to say that this firing is a long time coming is an understatement. I mean, I've mentioned it many times before how, all the heat that Carlos Bocanegra has got, and the fact that, you just kind of feel like it's almost inevitable that he was going to be fired for from this position, consider all the bad decision that he has made. Now, to be fair, we still have to give him credit in terms of what he has done, at least in the beginning as the technical director of Atlanta. He is the guy that, of course, discovered some very well-known talent. I mean, the most expensive outbound transfer, that is Miguel Almiron, was discovered by Carlos Bocanegra, and they, of course, able to develop him and sell him for a big amount of money, and that really kind of pioneer in terms so Atlanta started becoming a selling kind of team, and really decided to really push other teams to basically find these hidden South American gem before eventually sell them all off for a big amount of money. Pretty much like the pioneer of the MLS 3.0 kind of movement. But unfortunately, as much as Carlos Bocanegra has had a lot of hits, at least in the beginning of the season, he has definitely swung and missed a lot of the signing. I mean, the Ezekiel debacle, the Pity Martinez kind of debacle that we had, and then I think over the summer, yes, Atlanta did make $50 million, which is a lot of money. And I will say that if there is one thing that's kind of interesting about this is that the timing is kind of interesting. I mean, I think if they were gonna fire Carlos Bocanegra, it would probably be near the end of the season, where if Atlanta is not gonna make it to the playoffs, they're probably going to fire Carlos Bocanegra because that's pretty much the bare minimum of what they should be this season. And again, the 50 million that they made, that kind of is what Atlanta wants to do. They want to be that selling kind of team. They want to make a profit out of that. I guess maybe some of the moves that he made in terms of replacing some of those guys that they miss might be a little bit baffling, and is kind of the reason why the front office of Atlanta and Garth Lagerwey feel like that's not enough to keep his job for the rest of the season. But still, again, the timing is kind of a little bit strange, but certainly it's one that has been long overdue. And now we'll see whether or not if Atlanta is going to go get a new technical director, or will Gar Lagerwey basically step into that role just like he did when he was with Seattle. And that's could be some good news for Atlanta United fans because Garth Lagerwey, he did some good things during his time as the Sounders sporting director, and we'll see whether or not if he's gonna basically take over that role alongside with being the president of this team, and really get this Atlanta team back to where they were. We said it so many times that Atlanta looked like they're on verge of getting themselves back to where they were a couple of years ago, and it just feels like every time when we say that they just hit a stumble block. And for again, for every good signings that they have, they've also made a lot of misses. And that, well, the big problem of course with the philosophy of developing young talent player before you sell them off for a big amount of money is that you got to make sure you have some good replacement. And more times than not, Carlos Bocanegra just couldn't find those good replacement, and has kind of really crippled to what Atlanta used to be when they came into the league. Now, the Vancouver Whitecaps, they have officially signed Scottish international midfielder Stuart Armstrong from Southampton on a DP deal. Now, this was a rumor a couple of days ago, and I couldn't believe that was going to be the case, but now that deal is done, and I have a feeling a lot of that has to be heavily inspired by Ryan Gaul. He must have persuaded his national team teammate to come to MLS and join with him with the Vancouver Whitecaps. But this is a big signing. Again, I feel like the Whitecaps. This is a team that is definitely a decent team, but it feels like they're just kind of missing one or two pieces to really consider themselves to not only be a dark horse team in the Western Conference, but a team that could be a contender in the Western Conference. We'll see whether or not if this move has done. I mean, Stuart Armstrong, he has done very well doing his time with Southampton, and again, a regular Scottish international midfielder as well. So yeah, I think this could be a very good signing, and maybe could be the signing that push Vancouver to that upper echelon of a team that could be one of those contenders in the Western Conference. Now, they also exercised the contract buyout of Luis Martin. So obviously, after they decided to get Stuart Armstrong, they had to free up a spot, and unfortunately, Luis Martin's playing in the same position as Stuart Armstrong is basically being sacrificed as a reserve. But I won't be surprised if there's going to be a team that's looking to try and assign Luis Martin's off of free agency. He's a good utility piece for the Whitecaps, but yeah, they need to, of course, shit some of that roster spot, and this, of course, indeed is the case. Now, Sporting KC, they have transferred defender Kaden Pier to Rossingen in Belgium, and I think the move is $1 million plus some sell-on fees, so not a bad kind of deal. And keep in mind, this is really one of the first time where Sporting KC is able to develop a player from their academy and eventually sell them off to Europe. And even though it might not be a big amount of money, and Kaden Pier, he was okay doing his time with Sporting KC, nothing spectacular, but he is going to be joining a team that it's a team that is actually well known in terms of produce some good talented player that comes to MLS. Isn't that the same team, if I'm not mistaken, that Alejandro Pozuelo came from Belgium and he joined with TFC? I might be mistaken though, but yeah. Either way, good deal for Sporting KC, and again, if he develop well now that he make his move to Europe and able to get a good amount of sell on fees, then Sporting KC can definitely make more than the 1 million that they of course got for this deal. And then New England, they have loaned Noah Buck to Southampton FC. So obviously this is not a big surprise. There was definitely a hint that it seems like Noah Buck is going to be going to England, and kind of surprised the fact that he decided to go to a Premier League team, and especially a Premier League team that just got promoted this year. Though there's been a lot of people that are skeptical the fact that Southampton is going to be surviving this year with the way that they kind of lack that talent to be back in the Premier League. But this is a good challenge for Noah Buck, and it'll also be interesting to see whether or not if the U.S. can persuade him to be captain with the national team, because he's been with the England youth national team. Obviously, he's a dual citizen. He can play for both the U.S. and England, but hopefully, he might decide to choose the U.S. because, as I mentioned before, when he broke out in the scene with the Revs, I can sense that this is a very good kid, and he definitely had some good future with the U.S. men's national team. But that, of course, is if he is going to be there. I mean, that's where it gets a little tricky, because both national teams that he's eligible are pretty stacked in terms of the spot that they had. But if he can develop well and play relatively well, it could be a case where the U.S. could try to cap tie him before England has a chance to do so. Now, St. Louis, they also have loaned Jabilo Bloom to Kaiser Chief FC. Now, this is a move that shouldn't be a big surprise, considering he's kind of fell down the pecking order a little bit. I mean, he was a guy that was a regular starter back in the first season, but he's kind of fell down the pecking order in this second season, and eventually it seems like he's going to have to go to somewhere else to get more playing time. So why not go loan him back to his native country of South Africa, maybe get some playing time with a top tier South African club that is Kaiser Chief, and we'll see if he does well enough. Where if he does come back to St. Louis, maybe he get himself a spot there. I mean, he wasn't bad when he was with St. Louis. He was actually pretty good in the beginning, but again, just kind of fell down the pecking order, and especially with the different style that St. Louis is going on, and they're kind of sort of moving away from some of the first year pieces and bringing a new roster to continue to compete. We'll see whether or not if he hasn't enough that if he does decide to return to St. Louis, maybe he can play himself back into the roster. And then moving on in terms of the next news, and this is crazy rumors I've heard about how there was a rumor that Toluca is looking to trying to get Diego Rossi, and unsurprisingly, that rumor looks like it's completely false. So yeah, Columbus obviously not selling Diego Rossi to Toluca. That would be insane if Columbus decided to do so. Consider he's basically the centerpiece. I mean, the only time where I think Columbus might be very tempting to sell Diego Rossi is if the offer was like something like 30 or 40 million dollar. No way in hell they're gonna let go of Diego Rossi, especially of how big of a piece he's been to that Columbus team. So yeah, the fact that was a rumor, that it was kind of crazy to to see. I mean, I get that there are some MLS players that have now transferred to Liga MX, but yeah, this feels like it just never looks like it's gonna happen. Especially Columbus is in the midst of trying to once again be the favorites to get out of the Eastern Conference and are looking to try to repeat as MLS Cup champion for the first time since the Galaxy did back in the early 2010s. And then moving on to the next news, and this is unfortunate. So it is pretty much confirmed that Lawrence Anelli, I mentioned that I fear the fact that in that game against LAFC, he might have suffered the A injury. He suffered the A injury. He torn his ACL. His season is done, and that's just so unfortunate because again, he even though he only made limited start ever since he debuted for the team, he looked like he could be a real stud, and the fact that he's now suffered a torn ACL like that, just very heartbreaking and just very pretty much a huge blow for this Dynamo team, and certainly I wish him the best recovery. Especially what a moment it was for him to finally score his first career MLS goal, and then literally 14 minutes later he suffered a torn ACL because of it. So hopefully he has a speedy recovery. Obviously he's probably going to be out for majority of next season as well with him doing his ACL this late in the year, and yeah, just very unfortunate injury to see. Now, on a more brighter news, so Miami has announced that their new stadium, Freedom Park, will be ready to open in 2026. Now, obviously, it won't be ready to open before Messi potentially could retire in 2025. I don't know if they do have like an option where they decided to maybe extend Messi contract into 2026. And there's still rumors about the fact that, is Messi going to be maybe suiting up for Argentina one last time in the 2026 World Cup, because he's not officially announced that he has retired with the national team despite winning Copa America back earlier this year. Well, actually, it was just a couple of months ago. So there could be a chance that he could maybe have a chance to play at the new stadium in 2026. And why not? I mean, he's kind of like the global ambassador not only to Inter Miami but just this league itself. And I'm pretty sure Don Gabber is going to throw any sort of money to keep him staying with this league and keep the attention within MLS. But we'll see whether or not if Messi could be staying beyond 2025. But one thing for sure is that this has been long overdue. I mean, Inter Miami been looking for a new stadium. At first, it looked like it was very skeptical that it was never gonna get done, but the fact that they finally approved it a couple of I think it was last year, and now they have started the groundbreaking. Yeah, very excited for a lot of Inter Miami fans to finally see their stadium being built, and also we don't have to make the jokes the fact that they play at Fort Lauderdale anymore. And then the FIFA Club World Cup logo has now been officially released, and just like the World Cup 26 logo that FIFA released, it is what you can expect. It's a bland logo. It doesn't look inspiring whatsoever, and it's a shame too because they had a chance to make it nice. And also, I wish I could show you a footage of it, but my phone is actually charging on the other side there. But yeah, it's just if you haven't seen it already, I'll just say that it's a very bland logo. It's nothing special whatsoever. Obviously, people will complain about that. Though again, I do think that if you're gonna complain about a logo itself, I mean, that's kind of feels like a little bit meaningless considering the actual thing is actually the tournament itself. And I'm also interested to see how this tournament will go and whether or not if teams are going to take this seriously, because this is the first time where we see the FIFA Club World Cup being expanded to almost like being like a World Cup format. And again, this is a replacement of the Confederation Cup, and we saw how in the Confederation Cup, I mean, there were some teams that took it seriously, some team didn't, and the same goes for the FIFA Club World Cup as well. It feels like it's always European team that is going to win it, and most likely that's going to be the same case too. I mean, right now, I think if you want to talk about early odds of who can win that tournament, Real Madrid is obviously on the heavy favorites to win this tournament. But it should be very interesting to see how it is, and it's also a great chance for a lot of these fans here in the U.S. A lot of American fans. I know they root for a European team. Heck, I root for Chelsea, and they're in this tournament, and I would definitely want to go to one of these games to see them play in this competition. But We'll see whether or not if teams can take this seriously, or is this just going to be like what we saw in the Leeds Cup, where it's a bit of a cash grab for people to attend these games, but teams are not going to really put their strongest squad because they don't really value this trophy as much as what we see maybe with their domestic trophy, or even well, I'm not even going to say the Champions League trophy. Nothing beats the Champions League trophy when it comes to the most premier trophy to win in the club level. And then moving on into the last news, so the U.S. men's national team September roster has been released, and keep in mind, Mikey Veras actually is now stepping into the U.S. men's national team on an interim basis, and this is after it seems like San Diego is looking to trying to hire him, and that there's been a lot of rumors that Mauricio Pochettino is going to be the U.S. men's national team head coach. There's nothing that has been finalized, but one thing I will say is that it feels like it's very close to do so. I don't think he's going to be ready to coach this team by the time when we get into the September window. In fact, that's coming literally this weekend. So it's going to be the interim head coach Mikey Veras is going to take charge of this team. But one thing that he has chosen in terms of the roster is that there are definitely some familiar names, some players that currently plays in MLS or used to play in MLS that make their jump to Europe and now finally get a chance with the national team. So in goal, we got four goalkeepers, which that seems like a lot for even an international friendly that the U.S. are going to have against Canada and New Zealand. But you got Ethan Horvath, Patrick Schulte, Matt Turner, and Diego Cochin getting his first start, a young talented kid coming out of Barcelona. We'll see whether or not if he gets the start. Matt Turner obviously is going to be the number one in that spot, but I will not be surprised if Patrick Schulte might get a chance. Consider he was the starting goalkeeper for this team with the Olympic team in Paris, and with the way that he's been playing very well for Columbus, might even get a chance to be with the national team as well. Especially Matt Turner hasn't really looked that good doing his time in the Premier League, which is not a big surprise because again, anytime when you see goalkeeper go into the Premier League and become a second string, yeah, I just never liked the move when Matt Turner decided to make that move to Arsenal, even if that was basically his dream move. Then on defense, we got Austin Trusty, Marlon Fossey, Christopher Lund, Mark McKenzie, Tim Reen, Chris Richard, Joe Scally, and Caleb Wiley. So some interesting names out there, some new names out there. One thing for sure is that you still don't have Serginho Dest. I think he's still recover from injury as well. Miles Robinson also is not in this team. He's usually always with the national team, but I think he's not on this list. I think he also is dealing with an injury as well right now with Cincinnati. But there are definitely some new name out there. Marlon Fossey, I think that's a new name I haven't heard of. Christopher Lund was with the Olympic team. He looked pretty well as well. But other than that, some familiar names that is out there. Caleb Wiley getting a chance too as well. I think he's now with Strasbourg right now after he made his move to Chelsea. I mean, we knew that he wasn't going to play for the Chelsea main team. I mean, Chelsea pretty much have like 100 players in their roster right now with the way that they keep signing players left and right. But I think he's now with Strasbourg, and I haven't heard whether or not he has done well whatsoever. But great to see that gets the chance to be with the national team. Now in the midfield, you got Johnny Cardoso, Luca Della Torre, Aiden Morez, Jonas Musa, Gio Reyna, and Malik Tillman. So there are definitely some familiar name. Great to see Aiden Morez gets a chance as well. I mean, he was on the cusp in terms of being with the national team, essentially. Even in these friendly games, great to see that he, of course, being in that spot. Malik Tillman also get himself back into this. It's been a while since I've heard that name player being there, and the same goes for Johnny Cardoso as well. Now, in the four group, we got Brendan Aronson, Florian Balogun, Ricardo Pepi, Christian Pulisic, Josh Sargent, and Haji Wright. So yeah, I think there's like 3 or 4 number 9 on this team. Obviously, I think Josh Sargent, Haji Wright, and Florian Balogun. Actually, I think there's 4 number 9 because I forgot about Ricardo Pepi as well in that spot. So that's gonna be interesting to see how that's gonna work out. But yeah, overall, in terms of this September international friendly, I'm not really going to. I mean, I will pay attention, but I'm not going to really be just overly cynical as what I'm pretty sure some U.S. men's national team fans are going to be like. And I know this, of course, is the first couple of games since the U.S. has that catastrophic failure of a tournament in Copa America. But I think one thing I will also say is I think the fan base should be a little bit more optimistic because one, you're potentially going to get Mauricio Pochettino, a big name that is going to be coming to this national team and could give a big boost for this team to get ready to host the World Cup in 26. But not to mention the fact that the shackle of Greg Berhalter is finally off. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's been the thing that has just not only make the U.S. men's national team fan base very toxic, but just the frustration that's surround in terms of Berhalter and the tactics that he of course used. There's no doubt that I think Mauricio Pochettino will not be installing those kind of tactics on this team, and I know it too. Going back to his Chelsea day, it does not play the same style that Greg Berhalter basically play with that negative style of soccer. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys like, smash the subscribe button. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of these news, and if there's any news I didn't mention here on the board, let me know in the comments below as always. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.